Good morning, beloveds. Um, well, I've been watching one of the morning news shows, which has been completely dedicated to Queen Elizabeth because she passed yesterday. It's been interesting. I lived in England for 3 years. Now, I was a baby, so I remember very little, but it's interesting. And of course, I'm married to a history major. He loves history, and so he's, of course, completely fascinated by all of this. And so I'm recording the show, and I wish we had thought about it last night. Could have said it for him this morning, so that he can see, because he's fascinated by the history. And they were talking about the succession when I got on, so I was like, okay, yeah. Which is why I decided to record it for him, because I'm like, he'll love that. We'll see. All right. It is September 9th. Our title is On Building Better Images of Thought. The first quote is, "Blessed be God, which hath not turned away my prayer, nor its mercy from me." And that is Psalm 66:20. The second quote is, "People are birthless, deathless, ageless spirit, and this should be the consciousness of our work." And that is Science of Mind, page 239. The third quote, because of course this is CC, this is Craig Carter. "If we know God is our friend, we shall have friends. If we love everybody, there will be enough people to return that love to us. Good for You," page 43, which is a workbook. So, all right, let's get on with this, because he's got a lot to say today. "The Science of Mind teaches that what we inwardly image becomes our outer experience. This teaching is called the law of mental equivalence, and it operates in our life at all times. If there were no mental equivalent of beauty within us, we would perceive no beauty anywhere. And without a mental equivalent of friendship, we could not have a friend or be one. This law of mental equivalence applies to every aspect of our life, but we are not in bondage to any mental equivalent we may currently have. If we keep failing because we have a picture of past failures in our subconscious mind, we can begin deliberately to change that picture. We can begin to study success, for example, by reading biographies of successful people, or by spending time with our friends who are successful, really listening to what they say and how they think. One thing is certain: if we do not take charge of our thoughts, they will take charge of us. Gloom begets gloom, but a joyous outlook finds joyful things to see. The things that we look for become the things we live with. To a degree which many people never realize, our outer life is a reflection of our inner images, thought patterns, and feelings. We need to decide what we want them to be. My thoughts remain young, and my soul is undimmed by age. Every cell of my body now responds to the health-giving energy of my spoken word. I am whole, complete, and perfect, and the love of God fills me with light. I believe that there is one life, and that life is God. It is perfect, and it is my own life now. This life cannot grow old, because spirit is ever ageless. I respond with joy to the life-strengthening essence of spirit within me. It expresses in and through me as perfect circulation and perfect respiration. It maintains a perfect balance of assimilation and elimination. I am grateful for my health, my energy, and my youthful attitude." So two things immediately come to mind with this. One, principle is not bound by precedent. Okay? I'll go back and explain that in a minute. And then the second one is Emma Curtis Hopkins, "Look for the good and praise it." Okay? And again, we'll come back to that. I just wanted to make sure that I said them both. So the first one, principle is not bound by precedent. What he is talking about is mental equivalence, which is the image that we create in our minds of anything. Whatever it is that we're working on. What do we think success is? What do we think prosperity is? What do we think love is? What do we think friendship is? What we think about anything. This is what we're talking about, mental equivalence. And so we talk about the trend of our thoughts, because it's not the single individual little flashes that we get that create our outer world. It's those mental equivalents. When you think of prosperity, if the only thing that you think of is money, then you are narrowing your world. And if you only think of a certain amount of money, again, you're narrowing your world. And especially if you don't have that amount of money, then again, you're narrowing your world. So what you want to do is expand your mental equivalent. What does prosperity include? It does include money, but it also includes, your home, your friendships, the richness of your experience. What is it that Raymond Charles Barker would say about prosperity? It was the ability to do what you want when you want. Okay? Which has a lot to do with money, but not everything to do with money. So what is your mental equivalent? When you look at friendship, relationship, again, what is your mental equivalent? And so when you drill down on what your mental equivalents are, that kind of goes back to your cup of acceptance. How big is your cup of acceptance? What are you willing to accept? And so these are all of the things. It's like, okay, well, sit down, and if there are parts of your life that aren't working, sit down and define, like write down or draw out your mental equivalents. Like, what are your actual concrete ideas about this? And maybe we need to go back and revisit that golden spiral. And that's where our work is to do. That is where we can make changes. We can change our mental equivalent. We can expand our definitions. We can, what is it that he says about it today? Create a better image of thought. And then that leads, and principle is not bound by precedent. So what has happened in the past does not necessarily have to continue into the future, because we are going to do the work, and we are going to change our mental equivalents. We are going to expand our definitions. We are going to do the spiritual work. And that's where Emma comes in, because Emma says, look for the good and praise it. And Craig said the same thing. It's like, the beauty that we see in the world is the beauty we carry within ourselves. Well, if we expand our definition of beauty, then we're going to see a lot more of it. And our world is going to change. So whatever it is that you are working on changing, whatever images that you are working on expanding your definitions, that's where you can do that work of starting to look for that good and praising that good. Because the more you praise it, the more you look for it, the more of it you are going to see. You can almost never, I would hesitate to say, you can never go wrong with Emma. She had a very specific idea. Cat blep. So, what is it in your life that brings you joy? Now expand that definition out. And, hold on to those images. Janet Carmen did soul collages. And God rest her soul. Or not, because if she's doing anything, I'm sure she's in her next evolution and still going on her cruises and still making her soul collages. But in the soul collage, what she would do is it's like vision boarding, which was a whole new experience for me. It's like, if you don't know what you want, then go and get a bunch of magazines and create the image so that you can look at it. Which is why I said, encouraged you to write down your definitions so that maybe, you can expand them. And that's really what it is. It's about stretching our wings out and saying, there's so much more. Principle is not bound by precedent. Just because this is the way it's been doesn't mean this is the way it has to be. And we can grow, and we can change, and all these amazing things can happen, and it's good. All right. So he was pretty clear. I don't know what to do with the quotes today, so I'm not yeah. I don't know what to do with the quotes. So that first line, science of mind teaches that what we inwardly image becomes our outer experience, the law of mental equivalence, all right? It operates all the time. And we did grow up with a certain education, what we were taught by society, by culture, by our parents, by our family, and sometimes by very well-meaning, loving people, as Jesse likes to say, and they're just wrong. And they're just wrong. And we can change that. We have that power in our lives to change that. We can expand our definitions. If there were no mental equivalent of beauty within us, we would perceive no beauty anywhere. Okay? So expand your definition. The law of mental equivalence applies to every aspect of our life, but we are not in bondage to any mental equivalent we may currently have. And that right there is super important. If we look around our life and there are parts of it that aren't working, we want to look at what our mental equivalent is. If you did not grow up with a healthy relationship role models, i.e. your parents, then maybe you want to look somewhere else for healthy role models for relationships, okay? My parents did not have a healthy relationship. They did not role model a healthy relationship. Therefore, what I did was I looked around at the people around me, movies and TVs, maybe, but, the people around me who were married for a very long time, who had wonderful, loving, healthy relationships, I looked to those to expand what my definition of what that relationship could look like. I looked at the people around me who were married for, and I looked at what they did and expanded my own mental equivalent of what a healthy relationship is between two people in a marriage. And from there, I made choices. And I believe that I have a much healthier relationship with my partner than my parents ever did. Okay, so that's what I mean. Expand out your view, your focus. Look for other role models, and find them in all kinds of amazing places. You can find them in pop culture. You can find them in, anywhere. I was watching the information on Queen Elizabeth, and they touched briefly on because they were teasing about talking about Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth's relationship. Well, they were married for over 50 years, and they talked about how much she depended on him. Well, okay, so there's a healthy relationship. Was everything healthy? Probably not, but that's how we can expand our mental equivalent. We look around and we take the good and we let go of the things that aren't working, and we build our mental equivalents up. All right. So you want a mission today. You want a mission today because that's what it is. All right. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it. You expect a mission every day. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to look at our mental equivalents, to really define for ourselves what our mental equivalents are, especially in the areas that aren't working quite the way we would like to, and then expand them. And that means defining them for ourselves and then seeing where we can enlarge them and taking the information. Thank you, Emma. Look for the good in the mental equivalents around you and expand your own definition. All right. The beautiful thing about Science of Mind says the information is around you, everywhere. Look for it and use it. All right. So information is data. Data is what you make of it. Knowledge is the information that you have acquired and begun to categorize. Well, wisdom is applying that knowledge, okay? So that is what our mental equivalents are. We have collected the information, we have collected the data, we have begun to categorize it into knowledge. Well, now let's get that experience, let's apply that knowledge, expand our definitions, and start to use it. And then we become wisdom. We get wisdom, and our mental equivalents expand. And spirit is unlimited, which means our mental equivalents are unlimited. So that is your mission today, all right? Pick one. Start with one mental equivalent. And then go from there. It'll be life-changing, I promise you. All right, beloveds. I'm going to move into the process of my day. But first thing, you've gotten your mission. The other thing is to make sure that you do the spiritual practice of doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself. And honestly, that is about expanding your mental equivalents. You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. Absolutely. You are a beloved child of God. That right there is a mental equivalent. Whose child are you? You are the child of the unlimited spirit. Okay? That's a mental equivalent. So go back and look at that. That could be the one you start with. And take care of yourself. Loving, kind, compassionate things for yourself is about self-care. Okay? It's also, and I talk about self-care, but you can't pour from your empty cup, but it's also about making sure that you are taking time out to truly enjoy life. And I want you to do that every day. To not let a day go by that you don't make sure that you enjoy something. Be it a small thing. Because the more you practice, the more of life you will enjoy. You will start to expand that mental equivalent of joy. All right? It can start with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And it can expand into, everything. Everything. So, you know all the usual suggestions. Taking time out to make sure that you really enjoy a cup of coffee, a dessert, a meal, a day. Go for a walk. Go for take a nap. Take a deep breath. Because sometimes that's super important. And just, be in the moment. Be in the moment. All right. The other ones are the same ones as usual. And they go back to self-care and enjoying life, which is to do something to engage your mind and your body, to drink plenty of water. Hydration is important. We're like 80% water, so, I've heard us described as anxious cucumbers. We get a lot more done, though, so please drink plenty of water. And get that early in your day bright light to reset those circadian rhythms. While we have these material vehicles to carry our spirit around, to channel the divine into our world, we are built on cycles and rhythms. We can kind of forget that. And so, that's one way to expand those. So, bright light. And then, of course, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around you all the time. Okay? It's an inside-out job. Happiness is an inside-out job. You create it in here by connecting with the source of your own being. And it's the same with heaven. And heaven is a mental equivalent. It is. It's a state of mind. It's a state of consciousness. If we are concerned that heaven is a place that we go when we die, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. You can create it right now, right where you are. It is your superpower. All right? Okay. So, it's Friday. I can feel that it's Friday. And it's been an interesting week. We've been a little understaffed this week, all week, for a variety of reasons, including the fact that a former coworker is getting married tonight. So we wish her the best in her new adventure. So, all right. This is where we do the social media part, where we are Creative Life Spiritual Center and Creative Life Spark. And I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. So take that and run with it. Our TikTok game has gotten really good lately. So, bear in mind. I'm gonna get a TikTok eventually. I'm just not ready. Okay, I will. I'm expanding my mental equivalent. Okay, so, and if you want to know what's going on at the center, because we've got book studies and classes and all kinds of fun things that we do all the time, email info@creativelife.org, and that will get you on the constant contact, and those hot links are hot. So that is what I know. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I'll be back with you around 9 a.m. I get to go to the park tomorrow. Yay. So have a great day, an amazing day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, an enchanting day, a Friday, as Craig likes to say. A wondrous day, an expanding our mental equivalence day, knowing who we are day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day, because you are enough just as you are. You are a beloved child of God, in whom God is well pleased always and forever. And well represented. Remember that. When you look in others' eyes and they look in yours, they see God looking back at them. Some days you may be the only sacred literature a person reads. All right. So, know who you are. Know who you are. Okay. As I have said, I will see you around 9 a.m. tomorrow. And take care of yourself. Know that you're loved. And I'll see you next time.